This girl with average martial arts skills is facing a powerful enemy alone. Everyone thought she was bound to lose. However, she suddenly unleashed a long-lost magical martial technique. It wasn't until the girl performed the Dragon Fist that everyone realized. Everyone was shocked to discover that the girl was the descendant of the world martial arts champion. The origin of Dragon Fist dates back 50 years. Its founder, David, was a highly skilled martial artist. He won the title of the world's #1 martial arts master. However, those who were jealous of David united together, and they killed David's entire family. Fortunately, David's son was hidden by one of his students. This was the only trace of the bloodline that remained. 50 years passed in the blink of an eye. The student from back then, Alan, opened a martial arts school. David's granddaughter, Annie, had grown up, and she had learned David's martial arts. However, the enemies from back then still wouldn't let it go. They came to challenge in order to take back the plaque of the #1 martial arts master. They brought their students to challenge her. Annie's martial arts were not strong. She was severely injured on the spot by the enemies. Blood was pouring from her mouth. The moment Annie's blood dropped onto the plaque, unexpectedly, the plaque began to glow with golden light, and the figure of a middle-aged man appeared in front of her. This man was David. His soul was activated by the blood of his granddaughter. Just as Annie's life was hanging by a thread, David decisively pointed to guide his granddaughter. With her grandfather's guidance, Annie quickly defeated her opponent. When Principal Allen arrived, he too found it unbelievable. He knew that Annie didn't have that kind of strength. Annie said it was all taught by her grandfather. However, only Annie could see David there. Although Annie's explanation seemed absurd, Allen still believed her, because this unique technique was something only her teacher David knew. Allen anxiously looked into the air. David also recognized his student. He sighed, realizing how old Allen had become. At this moment, the enemy ordered their students to attack with full force. They were determined to wipe out Annie's entire family. Allen suddenly realized that the enemy was using dark magic. It was a technique taught by demons. David was also worried. He knew that Annie and the others could not cope with the powerful dark magic. As expected, Allen began to fall back under the enemy's onslaught. He was soon knocked down. Then Annie stepped forward to fight. David wanted to continue guiding Annie, but the enemy's speed was too fast. It was impossible to keep up. Annie soon found herself at a disadvantage. Just as David was about to intervene personally, unexpectedly, his wife's soul pulled him back. She urged him not to act, because it was David's own strength that caused so many people to be jealous of him, which led to the destruction of his entire family. His wife hoped that David would never again be involved in fighting and killing. David had no choice but to watch. Allen, in order to save Annie's life, had no choice but to agree to hand over the plaque of the #1 martial artist. However, the enemy planned to end it all today. They were determined to kill Annie's entire family. Seeing that Annie and her family had no strength left to resist, the enemy finally chose to reveal the truth from back then. When he took off his hat, David instantly recognized him as one of the people who had lost to him years ago. The enemy revealed that he was the mastermind behind the massacre of David's entire family. Hearing this, Allen was filled with anger. He wanted to use his last ounce of strength to avenge his teacher, but he was no match for the dark magic. At this moment, the enemy made a proposal. As long as Annie disabled her own hands and never practiced martial arts again, they would spare Allen. Annie hesitated, but Allen didn't want to put the child in a difficult position. He decisively chose to take his own life. With his life, he protected his teacher's bloodline for the last time. However, Allen's sacrifice did not bring mercy from the enemies. They still demanded that Annie mutilate herself. The enemy immediately drew a knife. He said that this knife had been used to kill Annie's grandmother. Before dying, her grandmother had begged him not to kill David. She had endured immense pain for this. Hearing this, David could no longer endure. This time, he decided to break his promise. He would intervene to save his granddaughter and take revenge for the blood-soaked grudge. Just as the knife was about to pierce Annie, David's soul decisively entered Annie's body. Annie suddenly gained immense strength. She punched the enemy, causing him to spit out blood. Everyone watched in shock as Annie fought. Another enemy stepped forward to provoke her. Annie snapped his shoulder with ease. At this moment, Annie displayed David's ultimate move. She reached her hand toward the sky, and surprisingly, a golden dragon appeared. The dragon instantly pierced through the wooden post. The white-haired enemy stared at Annie in shock and confusion. He knew that only David could perform this technique. At this moment, Annie firmly said, "Martial arts are meant to protect one's family and country, not to show off or fight evil." These words terrified the white-haired enemy, because this was David's life motto. He was extremely frightened, afraid that his enemy, David, had truly returned. He ordered everyone to attack at once and to work together to fight Annie alone. At this point, David left Annie's body. He began to personally guide Annie. Under David's direct guidance, Annie defeated all of her opponents. The white-haired enemy refused to admit defeat. He decided to play his last card. He ordered a girl to sit on the ground. Then he injected the girl with an endless stream of black energy. Soon, the girl's eyes turned blood red. She looked like a witch. She possessed immense evil power. Annie was unprepared and was struck by the enemy's palm, injuring her. At this moment, David continued to guide Annie. Annie and the girl fought. The fight was hard to decide.